Welcome to TCM. I'm Eddie Muller. And tonight, I'm very pleased to welcome our guest programmer, Dana Delany, star of stage and screen. Welcome, Dana.
Thank you, Eddie.
It is a pleasure to have you here, especially because I really love the movies that you've picked for tonight. So I want to hear from you. Why did you pick these two movies?
Well, because they're odd, and I like odd movies. And I think they're really great. And I think that they're two movies that people don't talk about enough.
I agree. And I'm flattered that you picked Once a Thief to start us off because it is a film noir.
Yes.
You know, a 60s film noir.
Right.
You know, and I'm kind of hesitant to go the neo-noir route. We just did all of that recently with Ben. It's noir. This movie is noir.
And it's set in your hometown, San Francisco.
And it is, in fact, set in San Francisco. And it's a great look at San Francisco that sadly doesn't really exist anymore. I get kind of homesick watching this.
Because you were around when this movie was made, 1965.
I was. I was a schoolboy when this movie was made. But I got to tell you, San Francisco was very aware of the fact that Alain Delon and Anne Margaret were in town to make this movie.
Who wouldn't be?
Yes. So tell us a little bit about your feelings about Mr. Delon.
Well, as I have told you, during the pandemic, I kind of hid behind TCM and I just started watching movies every night because I live by myself, so that's all I could do. And I developed an Alain Delon obsession, and I really had not seen that many of his films before. And I started watching every one because I do tend to dive deep. And then I discovered this one. I was like, what is this movie? I have never heard of this movie before. And it was his first movie that he made in the States. Yeah. San Francisco, amazing. The cast is amazing. But I've watched this movie a few times now, and what blows me away about it is how tight it is. Because the first sequence, which is an incredible sequence.
It's a great title sequence. One of my favorite title sequences.
I agree with you. And I had to watch it almost 10 times to realize that the entire movie is played out in that title sequence. The entire movie is in that sequence, the beginning to end, and it kind of sets it up. It's kind of like in Hamlet, you know, the play within the play. Yeah. Like this is what's really going to happen. It's in that title sequence. Just watch it.
That's so interesting. I am going to watch it much more closely because I just was kind of brushing it off as like this is their idea of
too.
San Francisco, right, in the 60s. But it has a really authentic feel. I mean, all this stuff was shot in the actual San Francisco locations.
Big Al's. Yeah, was Big Al's there?
Yep.
Wow.
Right on the corner at Columbus and Broadway. And, it really is effective. And I love the fact that it's shot in black and white, like a classic noir film. That was clearly, they were inspired by that. And Van Heflin appears in this movie, a classic noir character.
Jack Palance, who are, definitely Van Heflin's from an earlier era. But I love that they're in the movie because they kind of give this kind of older, different generational feel to it. And then you have the most beautiful people ever on earth, Anne Margaret and Alain Delon. And the way they were shot with Robert Burks as the DP. Who was,
Alfred Hitchcock's cinematographer.
And he was known for, obviously, in Vertigo, the trick photography stuff.
Right.
But he does it so well in this movie, which also I didn't get until I'd seen it a few times, that there's a scene in the beginning where there's a dioptic thing going on, point of view. And then it plays out later in the...
And it becomes a major plot point in the film later. Yes, when you see it again...
Oh, that's his point of view.
Exactly. Which is, I think, the only time I've ever seen that in a movie, where they're showing you something that's a point of view shot, but you don't know whose point of view it is.
There's another thing he does with the beautiful sex scene between Delon and Anne Margaret. The way he shoots it, it's like my dress. I think that's why I wear this dress. And I've got my Anne Margaret hair.
You do have a little Anne Margaret thing going on, yeah.
But it is this kind of shimmery thing going on with her nails and her earrings. And he kind of soft focuses it on both of them, and they look like pinups in it, the way it's shot. Like it's this kind of glistening skin, and it's so sexy. And the music then, the Lalo Schifrin score.
Lalo Schifrin. It's impossible to see a movie from the 60s, especially like a crime movie, and not have a Lalo Schifrin score.
It's so perfect because you got the jazz, and then the sex scene is like this kind of woman's voice doing the that they did in the 60s. And then it kind of soft focuses out, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's a very complex score because it's not just the jazzy stuff. It's not a one-note score, if you will.
Yeah.
He does a lot of different things, a lot of different moods
And
in
you'll
the
notice
score.
the last moment, he goes back to that woman's voice, which is kind of Anne Margaret and Alain Delon's theme.
Heartbreaking ending.
I know. Oh my God.
But it seems like that was Alain Delon's specialty.
Yeah.
You know, the most beautiful man in the world had a tendency to end up dead at the end of a lot of his movies.
Yeah, that's true, which makes him even more beautiful to me. But how about the closing your eyes, Daddy?
That's the wrinkle in that scene that kills me every time.
Oh, and the feet just walking by, and it's like he said in the unemployment office, I am nothing.
Yeah,
He's
he tears
nothing.
up his papers and says, I am nothing. And
I am
then
nothing.
hours later,
He
it's
is
prophetic.
nothing.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
His physicality is so beautiful, not just physically, but his ability to use his body. It's so athletic and agile.
And that was such a wonderful moment when he empties the gun into him, and then I immediately am saying, drop it. Drop the gun.
I know.
It's empty.
Drop it.
Why
Because that
continue
stupid cop
holding
is
it?
gonna shoot you.
Yeah. So obviously they knew what they were doing. It was very, very effective. Now, I want to talk about the guy who wrote this, Ezekiel Marco. Not Ezekiel Marco, but Ezekiel Marco, who was somewhat of a legendary San Francisco character. Now, I don't know if this is all true or not, but he sort of fostered the image that he was somewhat of a crook and a drug dealer and a lowlife, because that tends to work when you write mystery fiction and stuff. And he had written a previous movie that Delon had made.
I know, which I figured that's why Delon felt safe doing this.
I completely agree. He wrote a great picture called Any Number Can Win. And it was fantastic. He starred in it with Jean Gabin. It's a great heist picture.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and it has that fabulous ending that we can't talk about. But Ezekiel Marco...
And a similar heist kind of thing where there's silence.
Yes. And he's in the film. I mean, he's featured in the film. He is the character Luke. And not only does he get several scenes where he's really pretty good. You know, you're wondering, am I watching a drug addict here or some total loser? No, you're watching the author of the screenplay.
Hey, look, Eddie, baby, what's happening, man?
What did you think of his performance?
I thought it was wonderful. And I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but the story is that he asked Nelson if he could play that guy. And so the scene in the jail with him and Delon, he said, here's your time, show up early. And the night before, he got arrested for pot. So he was already in the jail. So they actually had to move him from his cell into the cell they had set up for shooting, and then he was moved back to his cell afterwards. I know, it's a good story.
When worlds collide,
But
when
I
art
love when
imitates
the
life.
two of them are walking into the jail together, and obviously they know each other from San Quentin, and he does that little dance.
Yes,
You know?
yes.
He's so loose.
Yeah, what I had heard was that they were going to give him like a little cameo in that first scene in the club.
Yeah.
And then they're like, this guy comes off like real.
Yeah.
So let's build this up, because none of the stuff in the rest of it is necessary, really.
No.
And then they go so far as to like keep putting what's happening to him in the paper.
Yes.
So he keeps getting these cameos
But
in the
it's
photographs
so
in the
effective
paper.
because it feeds Delon like, that's my future.
Yeah.
That is my future. But there's a moment when the scene in the police station with Van Heflin, and I swear it was impromptu because it's Ezekiel and Van Heflin talking, and then Van Heflin says something, and the writer Marco laughs. He goes, "Good line," because he wrote it.
Yes.
And then Van Heflin goes, "Oh, do I pass?"
Yeah, it's fantastic. You are a good movie watcher. You really see these things, and because it's hard to watch a movie when you know how they're made and not have that interfere with your enjoyment of the film you're watching.
Not if
like
it's
you
a
get
good movie.
you get the surface element, but then it's like, this must have been interesting because that guy actually wrote Heflin's dialogue.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So that's pretty good.